Orale, you have Oscar here from Grito Industries, here to offer you what is yet again another fucking podcast. Grito Industries, we're a music label, and I want to make sure that you're aware of what we are. We're a music label that is out there helping out a lot of Latino bands that are in the soul scene, ska, punk, rock. If you have not had an opportunity to check us out, make sure that you go to our Instagram at MyGrito so you can get familiar with some of the bands that we have on there. Not only that, but we also have podcasts. We have a podcast network. The podcast network consists of Emo Brown, West Coast Pop Lock Podcast, The Mind Buzz, and also Chicano Shuffle, and soon to be announced, Tragos Amargos with our homeboy Jerry Garcia, the comedian. So you want to make sure that you do check that out. The purpose of this podcast that we're starting here is because we want to give all of you an opportunity to get more familiar with what's going on with Grito Industries as a brand. Not only that, we also want to interview some very interesting people in the industry. And also, since my background is in finance, I would love to share with all of you a financial tip that could possibly help you out in better preparing for a future, better able to protect your family. So stay tuned till the very end, and I'll be happy to share some advice with you guys. Before I introduce our first guest, let me also point out that there is some cool things that are out there right now with the label. As an example, one of our bands, Rundown Creeps, which you actually heard the intro song, they have their new music video that's currently out called Big Bear. So you want to check that out on YouTube. It's a fucking trippy video, as you can see there on the screen, that you can check out. Not only that, but we also have 3LH. They came out with their new single recently and music video called Darlin'. Now, I know you're hearing, check out the video. Let me remind all of you that are listening to this podcast, you can hear this podcast whether it's on Spotify or on YouTube. So if you want to take a look at my ugly face, you want to check it out on YouTube, because we're also going to be showing a lot of good, cool things on the screen. Also, I wanted to let you know that this show is being sponsored. So I want to go ahead and bring some attention to one of our sponsors, which is Firme Mezcal. This is an incredible mezcal bottle by our homeboys that are based here in Los Angeles. So whether you've tried mezcal before or not, you definitely want to give this bottle an opportunity. All you need to do is go to their website, firmemezcal.com, or you can go to one of the restaurants, which is located in Fullerton, in Los Angeles, and it's called La Revelación. So you want to check them out. Also, we have another sponsor that you should all be aware of. The sponsor is Yagway. What is that? Well, Yagway, what that means is, here is another fucking podcast that, because somebody felt like they had something that they wanted to share with all of you. Yagway, no mames, right? So without further ado, actually, before I introduce my guest, all of this couldn't be possible without a good friend of mine that is also part of the label. So we have Gil from the Mind Buzz. Gil, can you say what's up to everybody out there?
What is up, everybody?
Excellent. So what Gil does, along with Amber, they have a company called Mind Buzz Media. This is an opportunity for any of you that are looking to do your own podcast. He can come down to your location, to your spot with all the equipment, mics, mixers. He can come down and he can go ahead and take care of you guys and give you that opportunity to put your own show out there if that's something that you're interested in. So Gil, I want to thank you, homeboy, for doing this with me.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for allowing us to come in and do this for you.
No, absolutely. So now, without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce our very first guest. This is the very first guest of the Grito podcast. So with this gentleman, I want to tell you a little bit about him. He's actually been on LA TV Live for about 3 years, which is very impressive. He's also been working with K-Rock. This is the world famous K-Rock for over 18 years. And he was actually involved with the radio station, which many would say was probably the heyday of the station, when a lot of things were pretty badass, including you would have the morning show with Kevin and Bean. He also did a lot of overnights and fill-ins with the show. He appeared on Loveline, as well as he also appeared on KFI, which is one of his dad's favorite radio shows, his and his dad's radio shows, which is pretty cool. He's also the creator, check this out, creator of the very first Michelada festival, which is known as Michelada Rumble. Many of you probably have heard of it, but it's a great, great fucking festival. It's hosted many times a year, and he'll be able to share with us a little bit more about some of the upcoming festivals this year. but they've been able to book acts like Too Short, Warren G, DJ Quick, The Dog Pound, Murs, Trish Toledo, just to name a few. And he's also part of the label as well. He is one of the three hosts on the West Coast Pop Lock podcast, which airs live every fucking Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook, on YouTube. So you want to make sure that you also check them out. Check them out. So without further ado, say hello to Super Steve Flores.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It's
What's
cool
going
to
on,
be here,
Steve?
man. It's cool to be here.
Well-
Grito, the first ever podcast in your man cave. It's pretty dope, man. You have a lot of dope ass shit in here. I feel like I should have brought you a piece of my artwork, but it's so hard to get rid of it. It's so hard to let it go. I've sold like 2 pieces, and I've always put them. I always overpriced them, so they won't sell. And 2 people have bitten, and I was like, and I had to let them go, because when you say when the price is there, they bought it. So I drew this rooster. We were doing a show, which was the Slide Bar, which is no longer there in Fullerton, and I did a rooster, and it was a rooster that reminded me of the roosters my grandfather had in Anaheim. He had these fighting roosters in the back, and so we as little kids we'd go back there and he'd fight some roosters and shit. But yeah. And someone bought it, and I was like, "Fuck, I want that back." But it is what it is.
You sold that cock.
I did.
Now that's awesome.
$800.
Hey.
Yeah, just the ink drawing too. It was like, fuck. But it is what it is, man. Thank you for the introduction, man. Yeah, K-Rock, 18 years, Kevin and B Morning Show, The Whole Enchilada, LA TV on LA TV Live. I've written a script for Maverick Films. What else have I done? I've just, I've just done whatever I wanted to do in life, man. Just accepting life as it is and as it comes, and also, living the dream, dude, and accepting my successes along with my failures. I've had plenty of failures as well, and things that I've wanted to do and they haven't happened, or just life, man. You know what I mean? But it's been awesome.
Well, I think for anything, if you want to be successful, you have to have those failures, because at that moment, you're going to figure out a couple things. You're going to figure out, first of all, that nobody's perfect, that it's going to happen, that it's going to fuck up. But at the same time, it's also going to let you know, how badly do you want it? Do you want to learn from that experience, and you want to continue to push forward and continue to push for whatever that dream is? Or maybe it's just meant to be a lesson and take away from it and move on to something else. But I've always known you, bro, from years ago, since I've been going to not only the Michelada Rumble, but let's go a little bit further back, the K-Rock House at Coachella.
Yeah.
I've seen you plenty of times there, the Weenie Roast, the Acoustic Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
For some of you that are not aware of this, Rob, who's also the owner of Grito Industries, he also worked at K-Rock for many years with Super Steve. And anytime that Rob K-Rock had a show, Rob would always invite me as his plus one. So I had an opportunity to take advantage of a lot of awesome shows, check out a lot of bands, go back to the VIP, to the green room, and it's been great. And I got to tell you, Steve, even back then, I remember seeing you there as one of this, obviously one of the employees of K-Rock, but at the same time, I also knew that you were one of the first Latino radio personalities on national radio. And I have to tell you, it meant a lot, because what it was telling us progress. It was telling us that if there's something that you really want, you can go out there and get it. And the only time that back then that I would really hear any type of Latino Chicano on radio, I mean, you had to be on Mexican radio. That's it, like Que Buena or something like that. But you made it to fucking K-Rock. And that was a radio station that a lot of us, I mean, that was a big deal. That was one of the bigger radio stations for us. And when I saw you at these events, brother, I was intimidated. I'm seeing you out there doing your thing. I'm seeing you out there being a fucking jefe. And I got to tell you, it's awesome to see your growth, because you continue to grow in this industry. You continue to work on amazing projects that we're going to continue to talk about during this interview. But I wanted to give you your flowers there, because you did some amazing things. Even during your tenure there, what I felt was very impressive when you created the the full enchilada.
The whole enchilada.
The whole enchilada.
Yeah.
When you were one of the few employees that took the initiative to make your own fucking merch. I
Yeah.
thought that was awesome. Because I remember going to the K-Rock acoustic house or the Coachella house, and I would see people with that shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, this guy's a big deal.
Well, you know what? You have to make yourself a big deal to become a big deal. You know, I got to give shout out to Chuck Adami, who helped me out with a lot of that merch, as well as Matty Boy, who also helped me out, and then my boy G, who printed everything from, you know, all the Super Steve stuff back in the day. But yeah, man, I mean, you had to, and you still have to, I think, you have to create your lane. You know what I'm saying? So when I got there, it wasn't just about how, you had to be like, okay, I'm here, cool. How am I going to make myself stand out? So merch, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was the first guy at K-Rock that made his own merch. Aside from Kevin and B now. Kevin and B had their own shirts, and K-Rock had a K-Rock shirt. But no other single DJ and or personality created their own stuff. And I give it away. I give it away to this day. People ask me for it, I give it away. You know, Super Steve was your homeboy, t-shirts, stickers, koozies, pins, whatever it is. I created, I made it, I gave it away. And I remember one time the head guy there, Kevin Weatherly, was like, yo, like, I see everybody wearing this Super Steve shit. Like, are we paying for this? And I was like, no, bro, I make it, I pay for it, and I give it away. And he was like, fuck, like, you know, he really thought, like, man, this guy really wants it, you know? And so, yeah, I created my own merch, stickers. And it's cool, man. It's cool to see people rocking your shit, you know?
Absolutely.
And you say I'm a big deal or what have you, and I've heard that from other people. And it's crazy that I've heard it now since I've been away from it. Because at the time, I've always just lived in the moment. I've never thought of myself as a big deal. I never thought of myself as opening the door or being the first or the second or whatever. I never thought about that. I always thought about I'm living my dream. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like, oh, I'm the first one to do it, or I'm the second one to do it, or whatever, or like, hey, I'm breaking barriers. No, I was just living my dream. So I allowed myself to live within that dream and enjoy it fully. So once I left, I was cool. I was satisfied, and I was happy, and I could leave. And I left. They didn't get rid of me. And when I went in there, the boss was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "This is it. This is it for me." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm cool. I'm good with it. You know, I live my dream. I told Andres Rios when I was a kid, I said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna be on K-Rock," and he was like, "We call him Chito." I'm gonna be on K-Rock. He's like, "Yeah, right." They used to call me Babies. I used to be in a party crew back then with him.
Oh
He's
shit.
like, "Hey, Babies, what are you talking about?" And he was all, "Yeah, whatever, bro." And then he called me. I was doing overnights, and he called me. He's like, "What the fuck? You're on K-Rock?" Because even to like Latinos in Southern California, K-Rock's huge, man. You know, K-Rock flashbacks, like, you know, it's huge. It's a big deal. I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't even think K-Rock understands the big deal that it is still to Latinos in that era and that time. Today, I don't think they even understand it yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem with a lot of people and a lot of industries that still don't understand the power of the Latino in purchasing power and in loyalty. I think the reason you still have Manas and Café Tacubas and all these bands that have been around forever, just to name a few, is because the loyalty that their fans have. You see a lot of American bands come and go, one-hit wonders, because there's no loyalty in them. But like when you get like these, when a Mexican becomes a fan, he's a fan for life.
Absolutely.
You know, and then they pass it on to their kids. Like, that's why you're a fan of rancheras and norteños and mariachi music. Why? Because your parents gave you that music and you became a fan, and now you're giving it to your kids. And not just that music, but like The Cure, Depeche Mode, whatever it is that you listen to in, you know, in that era, or Nirvana, or whoever it may have been, you continue to pass it down, you know.
Absolutely.
And I think that was something that you know, was awesome. And I again, I don't think that people understand the power of the Latin dollar out there.
They don't, but I think it's becoming more and more noticed out there.
Mhm.
It's there's certain companies, certain industries that do recognize it, because the reality is that for many times you would look at Latinos as the minorities, but the fact is that we're the majority. especially
Yeah.
here in Southern California and other states such as Arizona, Texas, Nevada, even in the East Coast, if we're looking at Florida, Latinos are the majority and we have purchasing power.
Yeah.
And as we continue to get educated, as we continue to be business owners, as we continue to be hardworking people, our dollar does count.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more and more that brands out there can recognize, the more and no bullshit about it. Don't try and oversell us on anything. Don't try and be something that you're not. Be real. Keep it real. Keep it real with Latinos, with Mexicanos, with Chicanos, and I think they'll find a good lane. And we are loyal.
Yeah.
If you're good, putting out good product, if you're well grounded, we'll fuck with you.
Yeah. And you know what I think one of the things is, don't try to accommodate me. I already like your product.
Yeah.
Don't try to switch it up for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm buying what I want. Just sell it to me. Just make sure that I think it's, just make sure that you know that I'm purchasing. Just give me a little love. Say thank you. That's it.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
I
Well,
think it's
the only part that I would disagree with you on is if it's something different and throw some flaming hot Cheetos on it, I'll fuck with it. New product, flaming hot Cheetos, I'm gonna fuck with it.
Yeah, but even that, dude, like sometimes to me it feels like you're trying to make it Mexican, or you're
Yeah.
trying to make it like, no, I like stuff that's not Mexican, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, quote unquote. You know, we grew up in Southern California, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? My dad was born here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom's from Mexico, of course. That makes me bilingual. I, learned how to speak Spanish and English, but we're children and a lot of us are children of the split, the half Mexican, half Americanized Mexicans, Chicanos, whatever you want to call them.
Growing up here in Southern California, did you ever find that to be a little difficult for you,
No,
having to go between both cultures?
no, bro. See, that's the thing. Like, it's crazy because you hear a lot of people like, oh, there was racism or this or different. What's difficult, bro? What's difficult that you're not? The only thing difficult in life is the things you're making difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't have to be difficult. And that goes into, I don't know if we were going to talk about this because you had told me about it, but like relationships. I have a relationship right now with somebody that is the best relationship I've ever had because it's not difficult, because I'm not thinking about it. I'm not making it difficult. I'm living within the moment. I never lived within the moment in a relationship like I lived in the moment with my career, with my, wanting to create Michelada Rumble, West Coast Pop Lock, Super Steve. Like, within all that, I lived within the moment, but in my relationships, I would make them difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's partly my fault as well, not just hers or whoever your partner may be. But yeah, man, I don't think anything in life is difficult. We make it difficult. Even the one thing that I've struggled with most in my life, which is my weight. I've gone up and down multiple times. I've lost over 1,000 pounds within my whole life. Like, if you accumulated the weight, but I've made it difficult for me because you can lose weight.
Yeah.
Do you want to? And I think why I avoided it for such a long time is because it never became an issue, and it never was, for me at least, a burden and or something that held me back from doing what I wanted to do. Because I never saw myself that way. I don't see even if you see me now, you're like, oh, you're a big dude. Like, I don't see that. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that. I just see me and who I am, and my personality comes through,
I love that because you just expressed, Steve, two incredible qualities. The first quality is awareness, right?
Yeah.
I think awareness within your relationship that you're in currently at this time, to be aware of what you want, what you needed, what you're looking for. That's a quality that I think it's very impressive. And for some people, they never get to that point in their life to be aware of what it takes to be in a good relationship, the communication that it takes, right? What do you think is exactly different that gave you the opportunity to be in a good relationship with the young lady that you're with now?
I have a friend, we call him Maze, but his name is Luis Peña, very talented artist. And he's into like manifestations and all this kind of stuff. And he's all, Steve, you're in what you manifestate. You get what you want. He goes, sit there, think about what you really, truly want. and the universe will hear. Because the universe heard me once when I said I want to be on K-Rock. It wasn't I want to be in radio, I want to be a DJ. No, I want to be on K-Rock. And the universe heard. And it became true. So once you have that type of power within yourself, you think, okay, well, if I can ask for that, well, what else can I ask for?
Mm-hmm.
So he would tell me, he goes, really think about it. Be specific about what you're looking for. Because whatever you're attracting is what you're thinking about having, you know. So I did, and yeah, it's cool, man. It's good to think that way, and that's what I'm saying. Like nothing in life is difficult that we do not make difficult. You know what I mean?
No, I agree, and I think for anybody that's listening, if you were to go to Super Steve's Instagram, you'll be able to see the stories on there of him and his relationship, which I love seeing that.
I talk about it all the time too. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of people that don't want to talk about or think it's cheeseball. Like, bro, like, you know, I mean, I'm an open book, man. I'm not gonna like hide. What am I gonna hide, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, you, especially if you're a fan or you're someone that appreciates what I've done, and or I want you to see who I truly am. I mean, are you in the depths of my relationship and my house life and all this and that? No, you're not, but a little bit, just so you can see the realities of it, you know? And what I'm telling you is real. I don't want you to think like, oh, this is just guy blowing smoke up my, you know, whatever. No, I honestly think that, you know, we make life more difficult than we need to be. You know what I'm saying? And it's as simple as to be honest, man, it's as simple as just loving each other, man. To be honest, man, I started thinking about that one time. I was like, what does this life need? And it's truly just real love, though. Real love. Love for your neighbor, love for your friends, love for your, you know, for each other, for you, for me. Because within love, it creates respect. And within respect, it creates the ability to live with each other without any kind of animosity. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think it's people might be like, oh, that's lame. But it really is that simple, dude. If you think about it, you know. I used to let a lot of things get to me, man. You know, even like driving and, you know, somebody cuts me off. And then my buddy, again, Luis was there. He's like, Steve, why are you pissed off at him? He's doing what he's doing. He's not getting out of your way because he's not in a hurry. You're in a hurry. Why are you in a hurry? Why are you trying to get somewhere? Well, you could have been there early. You could have got up early. You could have, you know, done your things that you need to do. But now you're upset at someone else because they're not moving at your pace.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn. So then even like driving or doing, like, it's changed. The mentality has changed. No need to waste good energy because we all have great energy. No need to waste it on being upset at somebody because they're not getting out of your way. Because you messed up. You're the one that left late. You know what I mean? Not them. So
I completely agree with you, Steve. For the longest time, I had sometimes I struggled a little bit with social media.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is something a lot of people fucking struggle with, right? Sometimes it's seeing what other people are posting. It's you not being in a good place, and you're seeing somebody living this fucking wonderful life, and we all know it's not always that way. It's just what people choose to put up there. But then I got thinking a little bit. We all do go through ups and downs.
yeah,
And if I feel like I'm in a good place and I want to share this moment, because I'm hoping that this gets to somebody at a time of their need, where if they see it, even if it's a fucking picture with me and my wife and we're both happy, maybe it could do good to somebody else, another couple, maybe a couple that's been arguing lately, and they're like, you know what, fuck this. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna make sure everything's cool with my lady or everything's cool with my man. I became more and more comfortable in my own skin and realizing that I'm not gonna make everybody happy.
no,
I would love for everybody, like you said, for everybody to show love and to everybody to be cool with each other. Sometimes it's easier said than done. I'm not out there to hate anybody. I want anybody that wants it, I want them to fucking eat. I want them to fucking be successful, to have a good life. I don't want them to expect me to make their plate. If they're coming to me for advice, hey, I'm going to give you some advice. I'm going to do what I can. But if you really want happiness, if you really want success, you got to go out. If you really want love, you got to be aware of what's working well for you. What do you need to work on as an individual? in order for you to go out there and be ready to receive it. Because that's the thing. Sometimes some of us are not ready to receive that.
Yeah. You know what? To be honest with you, I think it was one of your posts that got me to post. I don't want to say the first one ever, but you had posted something, and it was one of those like, oh, tag your lady or tag your whatever. And then I did it. It was off of one of your posts, and I did that. I was like, oh, I'm gonna
Fuck yeah.
tag my girl. Because to some people, it is important to know that you are happy, and sometimes social media is the way. I think that's what it is nowadays. But social media is super fake, man. Super fake. It's not real. I forget who said that. They were like, I can't get. I think it might have been Chappelle. I think he said something to the effect of, I can't get canceled because you're not real. Social, this is not real. You know what I mean? And I was at a restaurant one time, and I seen these people taking pictures of the food and the drinks and everything, and posting. And then they went and returned everything back and left without paying anything. That's how fake social media is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's unfortunate. I mean, when we're in a time where the internet is a great source for a lot of information, because we do have access to a lot of information,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it does suck people in, and it could become a hinder to them, especially mentally, put them in a bad place because they're not ready to receive what's out there in the internet. But at the same time, they have problems with the relationships with family. When they see shit on the internet, it just puts them into a much, much darker hole. So it has its pros, it has its cons.
Well, I think that's where we come in as podcasters, as people that produce content. I think we have to create content that's positive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That shows them something real. As opposed to the fake stuff. I think that's our obligation sometimes. I think we have fun too. We have, West Coast Pop Lock Podcast. We've had, funny people like Gil from Mind Buzz.
He's funny?
Well, yeah, he's right here, so I gotta give him a little love. So we get comedians and people there that have, my friend Hector, who's a mechanic who now owns his own shop, and he used to work for somebody, like just everything. And you go across the board, but we always want to show the positive as much as we can, and show people that your dreams can come true.
Yeah.
I remember Johnny hitting me up. I hit Johnny up. I asked Johnny, who's part of the podcast, Johnny C. I was like, hey, Johnny, what makes you think that you could be a stand-up comedian? It's the hardest thing to do in show business, stand-up comedy. He goes, because I know someone that did the impossible and made the impossible possible. And I was like, who? And he's like, you. He goes, you're fucking on K-Rock, Super Steve. That was your dream and you made it happen. You did Reach Out Rumble. And he's like, you're hitting home runs all the time, bro. And I was like, fuck. And I think that was probably one of the first times that I really realized what had happened in my life. Because again, I lived in the moment, and then I was on to the next thing, But when he said it that way, I was like, fuck, I did live my dream. And a lot of people don't get to live their dream. And I've lived my dream. My life, dude, I can tell you this right now, has been a fairy tale from the beginning to the end, to now. Not the end, because it's not the end, but till now. The only things that sucked in my life was losing my parents. But that's reality. That is a whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, however you think about it, that's reality.
Yeah.
We're all going to die one day. But aside from that, those two days in my life were the worst. But from there, everything's been amazing, dude. All my ups, all my downs, every job I've ever had, I've met amazing people. Everywhere I've been, it just created who I am today. And I've had friends from everywhere, man, and different types of friends. And it's molded who I've become as a person, those influences in my life. And that's what gave me the ability to become the Super Steve of K-Rock. By the way, that Lightning gave me that name, the producer of the morning show, which was awesome. What a fucking amazing name. I could have been, I always say that I could have been Stupid Steve or some other shit, But when he introduced me as Super Steve, and I was like, fuck, that's sick.
That name has huevos, bro.
Yeah, dude. And people have to this day call me, hey, Super, what's up? And it's just like, fucking people look at me that might not be like familiar with the station or what have you, like older people or whatever. Like, Super Steve, what's so super about you? I'm like, well, just gonna have to find out.
Stick around and find out.
Stick around and find out. But yeah, thanks to Lightning. Thanks to Kevin and Bean, man, for taking a shot with me, you know. My boy Brad Smith too, for not only taking a shot there with me, but for really, you know, helping me develop and backing me on Michelada Rumble and then on hard times in my life, man. You know, my dad passed away. He was there for me to help me through that, and as well as when my mom passed away, and just in general, man, in life's ups and downs. He's a smart man. He's a very good businessman and a good friend, man. And he's been there for me. So a little shout out to I would call him my best friend, Brad Smith. You know, one of my best friends, of course, for sure. And then my boy G, someone that would, if I asked him right now to come here and pick me up because my car was not working, he'd be here. You know, another dope ass dude. And my family, my friends. You have a laundry list of people that you can thank, but that was just right off the bat. And then, of course, the one individual that makes me the happiest right now, Nancy. Yeah.
Is that your lady?
Yeah.
Shout out to Nancy.
Yeah. She's amazing, man. She's amazing. She's a very hardworking young lady, and it's amazing because whatever I've given to this relationship, I've received back twice as much. And in past relationships, I would give, and I wouldn't receive as much, or I wouldn't receive anything at all. And I thought that was okay. So, you know, but with this one, it's just awesome. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good when you're in a relationship that reciprocates, and it doesn't have to be the exact same thing.
No.
But as long as there's good communication on
Yeah.
what your love language is, what you're looking for in a relationship, what kind of support you're looking for in a relationship, and the other person does that as well, you're off to a great spot, a great start. Your ability for each of you to also be held accountable for your own actions, that's something that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to admit when you do fuck up. And it's not just about always apologizing. It's just understanding in this relationship, in order for this relationship between these two people to work out, when one of them does some harm to the other, just acknowledging that and knowing that you don't want to fucking do the same thing again in order to keep that person happy.
Well, apologies without actions are just words.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can apologize, but if I keep doing the same shit, then it's just, what does that really mean, you know?
Right.
And she has a son, Noah, and he's a great kid, and it's been cool to get to know him as well. And yeah, man, it's been cool. Like I said, you know, I'm super happy. But aside from that, man, like, just living your life, bro. Just live your life, guys. Whatever the fuck you want to do, man. Whatever it is you want to do, bro. Just live your life. Live your life. There's a lot of fear out there, and that's fine. But live your life, and remember, fear's not going to go away. So why make it a hurdle? Because you're always going to have fear. Fear's always going to be there. So just fuck the fear and the hurdle that fear has become, and just go through with it. Go through with what you have to do. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll thank yourself, whether you succeed or not. You'll thank yourself for that. You know, and you'll be able to move on. And I think that's something that people need too. Like, hey, you know what? I wanted to be a singer. I tried it. I wasn't good at it. It didn't work out for me. Now I can move on to something else. Maybe I can find what really was meant for me. And I think that goes back to relationships. And don't fear having to be alone. And I think when I lost my mom at the end, I think I feared being alone. So I got into a relationship that maybe I shouldn't have. And it's not her fault. It was my fault for getting into that relationship knowing that it was just to fill a void as opposed to really be truly into a relationship.
Yeah.
And then once that was over, I was alone for like about a year and a half, 2 years. You know, I built my house, I rebuilt my whole home. And you know, it was good to grow as well that way. Because once you can be okay with being alone, I think that's when you can find somebody. Because you don't really need them anymore. You don't need that person. It's not a need. It's a want. And it's more powerful to want something than need it.
Absolutely.
You know?
I almost feel like that's partly some of the reasons why a lot of relationships don't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of us get into relationships we're not mentally ready to be on it.
No.
We're using it as a crutch to get us over a pain that we experienced,
Yeah.
and we're not giving that other person, all of us, the real part of us. We're not mentally ready for that relationship.
Mm.
And at that point, that's when you're just building something that really has no strong foundation from the get-go.
Yeah.
So I think for any of you that are listening to this, if you're still in the dating scene, one of the many things that I admire about you, Steve, is that during that time that you were on your own, you were working on yourself.
Yeah.
You were building yourself. You were building on things that you want to be, the type of person that you want to be. So when that opportunity came, you were ready for it. You were ready to embrace it.
Yeah.
I think it's not a matter of just because you're afraid or afraid to be alone that you should get into a relationship, because the only friend that you have is very fucking toxic that you should put up with it. That's not the case.
Yeah.
But going back to a relationship that's very toxic, it's like saying, fuck, I was really thirsty. I'm going to drink this poison because I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are you going to be drinking it?
I'm just drinking pickle juice as opposed to water or like a nice Buffalo Trace.
There you go.
Smooth little Buffalo Trace. But yeah, and in general, bro, like, yeah, Kevin and Bean, bro. I was always, fearful to mess up, or what if I'm not funny enough, and but they really helped me out. Even Kevin. Kevin was really cool, man. Kevin from the morning show. Even Bean. Everyone there, man. Everybody there was rad, and they really, really, helped me out a lot. And because this was remember, I didn't go to Spokane, or I didn't go to the Mideast or the Midwest or whatever the fuck. I didn't go anywhere. I started off. I went from school to the Super Bowl. I went from high school from you know what I'm saying, like. And LA radio is a Super Bowl, because you got to remember, even though New York is number one in the number one market, and we're the number two market,
yeah,
they don't have cars, and we do. They're on the bus, they're on the train, they're walking around. We here in California have cars. On a bad day, 80,000 people are listening to you. On a bad day. You know what I'm saying? So when you put it that way, you start thinking about like, oh, there's 80,000 people listening to my shit right now. Like, I'm about to, do a skit, the whole enchilada, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, And, or I'm out looking for, little people back then, whatever it is they had me do, But
you say little people, and both Gail and I kind of tense up. We're like, fuck, are you talking about us?
No. The derogatory. But little people, there was because there used to be a little community. That's one of the first things I did. There was a community in Long Beach of little people only. So they sent me out there, and I went out there and was looking for them and shit. And so, I had a bullhorn, and, we said some funny shit back and forth. I actually went to Growlings School of Improv for 2 years. Just to get my my timing and all that stuff down too. That was after I was already on K-Rock, and then I went to it, and I remember Kevin going like, "Hey, what are you doing, bro? Because you're getting you're getting quicker, you're getting funnier and blah blah blah." I go, "Hey, I'm taking these courses and stuff." He's like, "Oh shit, right on." So he even saw the effort that I put into it, because once you get in somewhere, you can't just chill. You gotta keep moving. You gotta keep doing it. So
I think that's very important for those of you that are listening, an important thing that you pointed out, Steve, because even though that you had what many of us would call a dream job working at K-Rock, you were still working on yourself. You were still working on your craft by going to this improv school. Before going on K-Rock, you went to school of radio, same as your dad, right?
Yeah.
It's about progress. It's about working on yourself. It's not about just settling just because whatever position you're in, you got to continue to work on yourself to be a better version of yourself. Just because you made it to what you would call the top of the mountain means that you need to chill at that point and cruise. In my career, I'm still out there trying to get designations. I'm doing that because I feel like there's more that I need to learn. There's more that I need to be able that I could offer to my clients if I'm taking the time to understand a bigger perspective, a bigger aspect of the industry, what's going on with the government, what's going on with taxes, what's going on with the interest rate environment. I need to learn all this stuff and just be more educated on it. So the fact that you're going the extra mile and not just fucking sitting on idle, I commend you for that. And and to add to that, you're still not sitting on idle because you also created, like I mentioned earlier during the intro, the biggest fucking Michelada festival, the first Michelada festival out there, and it's the largest, right? Michelada Rumble. Tell me about that.
It's original. It's the first ever festival ever made. October 2015 was our first one. It's funny because I had gone to K Rock to help promote it.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Nah, we're cool." They didn't understand, right? And it was successful, the first one, cool. And then we had the second one, and it blew up, bro. Just it was freaking 12,000 people there. And then K Rock came back like, "Hey, we'd like to, help produce it, help promote it, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Nah, I'm cool. Thanks, anyways." And my business partner Brad was like, "Yo, bro, if you want to do that, that's fine, but never burn bridges, bro.
Absolutely.
Let's listen to them. Listen to what they got to say, and if we still don't want to do it as a team, then we'll say no." But I felt dissed at first because I came to them like, "Hey, I'm one of your guys here. I'm a host here. I'm part of the Kevin and Bean show. I'm part of you guys, and I'm creating this. So I want you guys. Can you promote it? Can you help me? Can you sell into it? Whatever it would have been." And they passed. And then as soon as they saw the success of it, they were like, "Oh, fuck yeah, we want to be a part of it." I was like, "Nah, dude, I don't need you. I didn't need you then." And that's what I told them too. I said, "I didn't need you then when I offered it. I don't need you now." And then my business partner was like, "Slow down, buddy. slow down." But he's a businessman. He knows what he's doing, and I wasn't at the time. I didn't have that knowledge. But I still needed them to know, like, hey, I came to you guys and you guys dissed me the first time, but we K Rock did quite a few of them, and then we went, of course, on to the Woody Show, and then we've done the Crew Show on there before. Big Boy's been out there. It's been amazing, man. It's been awesome to be able to book a lot of the bands, and I think Ramon Gonzalez, who books all of our bands, and everyone out there that's worked on the show. I mean, shit. I mean, so many people that have worked on the show, from Harris, Hungry Harris, to fuck, dude, Jay Stolo, Josh. I mean, I know I'm gonna miss a couple. I don't even know why I'm trying to name everybody, but everyone that's been out there. Nancy and her sister as well, working the door. Everybody, my sisters, my mother out there. Yeah, man, it was awesome. It was awesome to create it and to be able to get that off the ground and be able to do it and see people copy it. At first I would be upset, like, why? Because I'd have people literally come to me and tell me, "Hey, I'm gonna do this exact thing," and I was like, "What the hell?" But you know what? Whatever. That just makes me want to do it better every time.
Good for you.
So the first one was just cars and that. Then I added lucha. See, that's the one thing that I brought lucha back to events. You know what I'm saying? So now everyone has lucha at their events. You're welcome. I brought back guys like, Warren G and, the Dog Pound. I know they've been performing at, nightclubs and all this and that. But all those guys that you seen on my stuff, they were with us first, and everyone else came after and started picking it. Oh, they see the success, so now they start doing. So you're welcome. So it is what it is, man. But so that's why we just keep changing and keep moving and keep growing and changing it the way we serve micheladas, because we had big issues on how, because you used to have to get in line to get your wristband, then you had to get in line to get your beer. But so we created this uniform little system of how to do it and how to do it correctly. And what happened? Everyone else started copying that. So you're welcome. But it is what it is, man. People are gonna do it. People are gonna copy you no matter what. So it's cool. We just have to keep growing. We have to keep one step ahead, and that's fine. So May 4th this year, Santa Anita Racetrack. Voodoo Glow Skulls, man. That's who we'll have.
Hell yeah.
We're changing it up a little bit, doing a little bit something a little different, and we'll be announcing some more bands as well. DJ Angie V, for sure. Of course, DJ High C, West Coast Dave. We have Cars. We have Lucha Libre by Islos Lucha. I think that's the name of it. My boy just started that company. And you know, it's been awesome, man. It's been awesome to be able to create something like that and be able to live and make money and you know bought my house, my first house because of it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. So then I got to, you know, that was crazy. That was my whole year when I was by myself, and I got to remodel. I mean, I took it to the studs, bro. The whole thing. It was a family home, a home that you know my grandparents lived in, and like when my cousins come over now, they're like, "Fuck, this shit doesn't even look the same, bro." I go, "Nah, I didn't want it to.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be something totally new, but I just still wanted you guys to feel like it's you know you guys more than welcome to come out."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and my goddaughter has her feet and her hands printed in the concrete there, so that was cool too. She already has her own baby, so that was awesome to see that, you know. But yeah, man.
Good for you. It's good to
Yeah.
hear that you're a family man.
No, yeah, yeah, I love family, bro.
Yeah.
If
Es
there's
todo, no?
yes, for sure, bro. Family's number one, dude. Family's number one. But some friends can become family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how it is. Like my boy Brad, he's family. My boy G, he's family. You know, my boy Chuck, he's family. And all those people that if I call you friend, you're family, bro. Like that F's not only for friend, it's for family. You know what I mean? Like to me. I've always felt that way. Even when I work at gigs, some people are like, "Oh, my coworker." I never call anyone coworker. If I work with you for 8 hours a day, we're friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Coworkers are just someone you just say hi to and bye to. No, we're there every day, all day, Monday through Friday. Like you're not just my coworker, dude. That's how I've always felt. Even at K Rock when I was there, people would be like, "Oh, coworkers," and it would upset me a little bit. I was like, "Yo, dog, we spend every day with each other." And then nights when we go party and all this stuff, like we're not just your coworkers, man. Like you know. And I would try to get that to people because I think it made a better environment, a better working environment when you see people more than just a coworker or what have you. You know, and it would, yeah, it would because I was also event coordinator under Adrian and under Chuck and Aisa and Amy Stevens there. Awesome people as well, you know, at K Rock. But yeah, man.
Beautiful. Well, speaking of family, let's talk about your family at the West Coast Pop Lock Podcast, which is part of my Grito
Forget
podcast
those
now.
guys, bro.
So with Mario 81 and Johnny C, that dude Johnny C, which you can find them on Instagram.
Yeah.
You guys created a really cool fucking podcast again that could be found Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific
Yeah.
Standard.
Live on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, not live on Spotify, but also on Spotify and Apple, iTunes, all that good shit. You know what? It just became something that I wanted to do a podcast. Johnny wanted to do one, and we had different people come in and out. Didn't have really a name for it, and you know, I was already gonna be like done with it. And Johnny called me. He's like, "Hey, bro, why are we looking for someone else? It's just us.
Yeah.
Why?" And so we did. And then one day I was driving in, and it was during the pandemic when everybody was leaving LA. And that song West Coast Pop Lock came on, you know, and it has that word Compton. You look, California, city of Compton, and that's where we do our show out of. And I was like, you know what, fuck, we're the West Coast Pop Lock podcast, and I didn't think about it. That's a fucking the name is too long, first of all, but it just came out, you know. That was just the way it was, and so that's what I named it, the West Coast Pop Lock podcast, and yeah.
Well, it's a great fucking name, and you also had some great guests on the show. I mean, some of the shows a lot of the shows I fucking really love. I love the conversation between the three of you, and even when you bring in guests, I mean, you've had some pretty fucking interesting guests from Chunky But Funky, Jimmy Sauce, a lot of the different bands from My Grito,
Yeah.
Maria Sanchez, Harless Sweetwater, Rundown Creeps, The Paranoias, Rare Hearts. I mean, you guys have had some very interesting people on the show.
Yeah.
Is there any one guest that you would say you really just was very memorable for you because maybe just the interaction between the four of you?
Probably you and Rob on there.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Lies.
You know what?
Oh, come on. You don't have to say that because he's in front of you.
Yeah, I think it was Gil. No, you know what? For me,
I think so too.
for me, honestly, they're all good, man. They all have their own, you know, whatever, you know. Elvis, when he came on, Elvis, lead singer of Left Alone, he's also part of Manic Hispanic, and so when he came on, he had told me, I'll play a song, and it ended up he played like 4 or 5 songs. They were so good, you know.
Yeah.
Also, I Am Rare Heart when he came on, and like the second time he came on, and he was just played songs, and People were hitting me up afterwards, like, "Oh fuck, that guy's awesome." Earringers are fucking really good. One of my favorite bands, dude. Like, I think they're awesome, dude. And why they're not even out there huge, even bigger. Maybe it's not their time yet, but dude, really good.
They'll get there.
Yeah. Who else? Everyone we've had, man. Even you guys, bro. Because everyone has something to offer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your experience is something. Not everyone is listening to me for my experience. Someone's gonna get something from you, or someone's gonna get something from Gil, someone's gonna get something from everyone, from Johnny, from Mario, from the people that we bring. You know, it's not always about us as individuals. It's something that someone else has to say, and it might, resonate. So for us, I think what we like to do is bring people on that are achieved and or are striving to achieve their dream, to show people that, hey man, we all struggle, we all have fears, but we all still push forward to get what we want and where we want to be.
Well, I'll share this with you. Having the West Coast Pop Lock podcast on the Magrito Podcast Network is a big deal to us, because you guys do take that approach, and you're out there interviewing fucking grinders, people that are inspirational, that are out there doing their thing, and they're sharing their story with all of us, which is great.
Yeah.
The fact that it has that visual aspect, just like we do here, just like Mindbuzz does, just like Emo Brown, it brings a different perspective to it, because you can also see the excitement in an individual when they're sharing their stories with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what you guys created with the West Coast Pop Lock podcast is a great platform that I think more and more people need to check out, because of what you guys have to offer. The inspirational shit that you have to bring, that you bring based on your experience, your success, the comedy that Johnny brings. I mean, the guy is fucking funny, and a real good stand-up that continues to improve every time that I see him out there doing a show. And Mario, of course, Mario has his personality. He has a lot to contribute. He's an incredible sound guy. If anybody's out there looking to hire somebody that is just fantastic with sound, Mario does a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, you have three talented individuals that come together, bring a good show.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we just do it, man, just to have fun, to be honest. That's how it started. And even now, we don't take ourselves too serious. We just, I think more than anything, it's just something that we needed to be able to go to, and to just have a good, get away from everything. That was like our escape, to go be able to just, sit down and talk, whether it's about wrestling, which they love to talk about a lot, or just anything in general, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or have our friends on. The majority of the people that we've had on have been friends of ours, and that's how we've gotten them on. We have Ephraim, of course, from Defi Stereo, and, Voodoo Glow Skulls, and he's also from Manic Hispanic, and the guy's doing it, man, Who hasn't grown up and wanted to be a rock and roll star? And this guy's like 3 of dope-ass bands, so having him on there was pretty rad, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody out there wants to be a guest on your show, what do they need to do?
Just hit us up on Instagram, dude, like West Coast Pop Lock Podcast, or hit me up direct too, Super Steve Flores on Instagram. Hit me up direct. Yeah, we like having our friends, and we like having people that are interesting more than anything, And so we had Gil. So if we have had Gil, we can.
You'll take anybody.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, you said something about anytime that you have a conversation with an individual that moves you, that impacts your life in a certain way, and maybe they deliver a message that you needed to hear based on what you were going through at that moment. I had that moment with you a little bit over a year ago when we had a phone call. It was probably one of the better phone calls that I definitely needed at that time in my life because of what I was going through. Many people may not know this, but my mom right now is battling cancer, and we're going through different treatments to put her in a good position. But it's very scary. It's scary with the reality that the inevitable is going to happen. I mean, we're all going to die at some point. It's being prepared for that. When I lost my sister many years ago to cancer, I wasn't ready for that. I mean, honestly, bro, when people would talk to me, come and give me their condolences, I was just in a very dark space. Even for my work, my employer at the time, they gave me my time to grieve. They gave me my time just to collect myself, to be with my family. They were sending me food, which I thought was very generous of them.
Mm-hmm.
But before I went back to work, I sent them all an email and said, hey, listen, um, if you guys want to really do me a favor, please don't bring it up. Don't bring up my sister passing because I just don't want to hear it. I need to go to work to get away from this emotion because I still need to. I still need to provide for my family. I know I need to go back to work, but I know if I talk about the subject, it's too hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
And when people ask me, and this was a big one for me, Steve, and I'll get to why I'm bringing this up because of what you told me on that phone call. Even when people would tell me, "Hey, to check up on me," and all they were trying to do was fucking show me that they cared about me by checking up on me and asking me, "How are you doing? How the fuck do you think I'm doing?" And that's the thing. A lot of us, we don't know how to respond, how to talk to people that are going through this grief. Until you go through it, it's very hard to understand. And all you're trying to do is check in on your friends, check in on your loved ones. But it's a difficult thing to do when people are going through that.
Yeah.
And when you and I had this conversation, you were talking to me about your parents. I mean, you mentioned earlier when your dad passed away a little bit over 10 years ago. Your mom passed away, I believe, in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
How that impacted you, especially having to be there and now being that person of authority for your sisters. You didn't ask for that position, but you were forced into that position.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and kind of what you went through? Because again, what you told me really moved me.
You know what? I think I've had friends that have lost parents now, because we're getting to that age. And someone always asks you, like, so what is it like? Man, everyone's different, bro. There's nothing you can say. Like I always tell people, there's nothing I'm going to tell you that's going to change anything, bro. There's no magic word. All you can do is say, what's up, man? I wouldn't even say, I don't even ask, how are you doing? Because I know how you're doing. We're not, maybe we don't grieve the same, but I know how you're doing. You're missing someone that you truly love. You know what I'm saying? But I would just be like, hey, man, what's cracking? Let's go get some to eat. And just take you away from the situation. And again, not, because we already know why we're here and why I'm taking you away and what we're doing. So just take you somewhere, grab something to eat and just talk about other shit. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the best thing you could do as an individual for someone else, as opposed to like, hey, how you doing? Like, it's like when someone gets like, you smash your finger, with the hammer, like, oh, you okay? Fuck no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I just smashed the shit out of my finger. How the fuck am I going to be okay? But I mean, that's just something normal that we always do, though. You know what I mean? Like as a society, we always like, oh, are you okay? Is everything cool? How you been? How you doing? You know what I mean? It's just natural to ask those questions. But if you really want, just, I would say take your buddy, take him out of there. Don't even really ask too much. Just be like, hey, let's go grab something to eat,
Yeah.
and bring up other shit, bring up stuff he likes, like whether it's lucha libre or whatever it may be, That's a good way to get out of that. And then becoming, when I'm the only male in my family, so 3 sisters and myself. And there's just certain roles, at least in a Latino family, that you take on whether you want it or not. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that you don't want it, but for me, and I think Latino men this is hard for them as well. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I can only talk from my experience. To this day, I haven't grieved my parents' deaths, my dad's or my mother's, because I didn't have a chance to. I had to do what I could and then allow my sisters to be who they were. And at that moment, they were, they were crying. They were in their rooms. They were this or that. Or my mom, too, had to take care of her when he passed away. So it was like, she was super strong. So I had to be just as strong as my mom when my dad passed away. And I think it's even, this is something that I learned, man, too, with that, was that, remember, we don't choose our parents. We were just born to them. She chose this man to spend her life with.
Mm-hmm.
That loss is greater than your loss as a father or my loss as a father or a mother, because they chose that individual and they spent their life with them. And my mom, when my dad would go to the hospital, she would stay there until he came home. She would not come home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's true love, true feeling, true like that's my man. I chose him. I wanted him. I in my life. And when she lost him, that was her world. So I had to be strong. So you get put into these positions, especially as Latinos, and you just have to roll with it, man. You just have to go for it. And my time will come, whether it's now or maybe never. I don't know. But it's just part of being who we are, dude. I really can't explain it. Maybe other people have done it different. Maybe other people have, done their thing. I've had friends that have, you know, they cry or they do this and that. I haven't shed a tear yet for either one. And it's not that I'm cool with it or I'm proud of it or I'm fuck yeah, look at me, soy chingón. Nah. It's just that I didn't have the time because everyone wouldn't when my parents passed away, bro, no one came up to me and was like, "Hey, how you doing, Steve?" It's like, "Hey, how's your sisters? How's so and so? How's this?" No one was like asking me like how, like, "Hey, primo, like, let's do this, let's do that." No, I was like, "Hey, your sisters, oh, your sister, make sure to take care of her. Make sure to take care of your sisters." You know what I mean? So when you're in that position, it's just it's a little harder, and you have to just like I said, you have to step it up and you have to just
Yeah.
be take it and go with it and you know it is what it is, man. I've never really thought about it, to be honest with you, except for like I said, I will say that I've never, yeah, to this day I haven't mourned them in that way. I miss them dearly. I wish they were here for all my successes that I've had. They were here when I was on K Rock and that whole nine and lived that dream. But like even now, like with Michelada Rumble and meeting the love of my life, I wish they were here for that. But if you are, I don't know what everyone believes in, but I believe that they are here and they're around and
They are, brother.
so yeah.
I mean, it from conversations that we've had and interviews that I've heard you on, I know how much your parents meant to you.
Yeah.
I mean, even from um, your dad also going to radio school,
Yeah.
um, and I would think just like any other Latino son, um, the tension between a father and son was probably there. I mean, from what I heard, your father worked for the city and he wanted you to have a regular job and work with him at the city. But it was your mom that was actually encouraging you to follow your fucking dreams, to do what you
Yeah.
wanted to do, and to land, going back to K Rock, to land a job such as that. Um, yeah, I understand your mom had an opportunity to see that. I don't know if how
My
much
dad
you,
was, yeah, my dad
oh,
was,
your
yeah,
dad as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. He actually like it's crazy because he would wear my pin, the shirts, K Rock shit. So he, you know what I mean. He got to see that. He got to
Hell
see
yeah.
that, which was amazing. But it was just like I said, one of those things where it's like, you know, he wanted the best for like all parents want. They want the best for you. So
mhm.
he wanted me to, I did work for the city of Bonaparte with him. I worked for like a year, and it just wasn't for me. But he was like, "Hey, get a job, a good paying job, has retirement, the whole nine, buy a home, have some kids, have a wife, like just the standard American dream." But that's just not who I am. I remember asking my mom one time, like, what her dreams were. And she said, "I gave up my dreams so you can have dreams." I was like, fuck, that really hit hard. So I knew that I had to fulfill my dreams to make her sacrifice worth it,
Yeah.
you know? Because she came here unwanting. She didn't want to come to America. That's the one thing I don't think a lot of people understand, that there's a lot of Latinos, Mexicans, Latinos from everywhere that come here unwanting. She had her family. She had her life in Mexico. She had a boyfriend. She had, a career that she wanted to create, but her parents wanted to come here for the American dream, you know, and they brought everybody. So, she gave up her dreams that she had as a child to come here. She had kids and they created their life so that we could dream, so that we could become something and whatnot.
That's beautifully
Yeah.
said, Steve. Um, two things that I'm thinking about, that I had to go through with my process of grief that I think might be helpful to you,
Mhm.
if I can offer that. Um, the first thing that I did, especially when I lost my sister, was doing therapy for the first time.
Mhm.
And I was fortunate enough that my employer offered therapy within my benefits. A lot of us may
Mhm.
not be aware of this, but if you are working at an employer that does offer you benefits, part of the benefits is therapy is available to you up to, in most cases, up to 10 appointments at no cost to you. It's part of your plan. You're already fucking paying for it.
Yeah.
So I did therapy in it, and it was hard for me because I'm not used to that environment.
Yeah.
Growing up with Mexican parents, the environment that I'm used to is I'm being told what the fuck to do,
Yeah.
and it's up to me if either I'm going to listen to it the first time or get my putazos from them, and then listen to them maybe the second time,
Yeah.
right? But therapy was a big help to me.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think would be very helpful to you, because I did it also when I lost my sister, unfortunately, and I did it also when my mom was diagnosed with cancer. Not only the therapy, but something that I know your parents really impacted you with is their love for norteño music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, if you have not shared tears for them yet, all you need is a fucking couple hours with me listening to some norteño and some fucking tequila, and it may happen because that's the power of music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially music that reminds you of them. It brings these emotional feelings out.
Yeah.
And for me, with my parents are still here. My mom's battling cancer, but when I think of them, one of the many things that remind me of them is the music that they instilled in me. I mean, for fucking crying out loud, I remember listening to Tigres del Norte all the time because of my dad. I have a fucking tiger tattooed on my back, and it's because of my dad, him having my back. That's how much the man means to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was associated with music and the lessons that I learned from him, right?
Yeah.
So music is a big deal. With that, bro, I ask one thing that I want to do with this podcast, it being brand new. I want to have the opportunity to ask every guest 3 questions because I'm curious to see how you would respond to them, right?
All right.
The first one has to do with what I just said, music. So, primera pregunta. Tell me who your favorite artist or band is and why.
Man, being from radio too, coming from radio, bro, I really don't have. I go through waves, man. There's no one that I've ever really been a fanatic about. You know what I'm saying? There's only 2 bands that I've ever collected anything from: Rage Against the Machine and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. To me, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers live is the best band ever. If you did not get an opportunity to see Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, you lost one of the greatest showmen ever. You know what I'm saying? And Rage live, before they broke up the first time, I went to every single show in LA. You know what I'm saying? I have a bunch of memorabilia signed by them. They were just an influence of me growing up, being Chicano in LA or Orange County, LA, Southern California. And like they had this voice that you were like, fuck yeah. It's not just hip hop or oldies or funk. It was like rock, and these guys were like talking some shit. You know what I mean? So like it gave you like that little edge. You're like, fuck yeah. It's like, you know, punk rock on steroids. You know what I'm saying? And it was good music, and it just meant something for me personally, I would say. And then I go back and I love everything. Right now, one of my favorite bands is the Bouncing Souls, man. Like, every time they come to LA,
Awesome.
I'm there. You know, Punk in the Park, my boys do that show, and they're doing the NoFX in San Pedro coming up October. Make sure to get out there. Bouncing Souls will be there, so I'll be there for sure. But I couldn't really pinpoint and tell you that there's one band that I love. I just like music in general, man. If it's good, I'm gonna listen to it. Earringers, I mean, you brought them out. You know, I love hearing those guys. You know, everyone that we've had on, you know. Left Alone has some dope ass jams. I mean, everybody, Manic Hispanic. I mean, I've never been someone that's just been like, this is it. I'm listening to this 24 hours. You know, Mexican music, Ramon Ayala, Vicente Fernandez. Of course, everyone listens to that. And then you go into Los Reyelos, and you know, there's multiple bands out there, man.
Yeah.
And there's multiple bands that play the same songs in a different way. You know, so yeah. To be honest with you, I can never really tell you like, oh, this is my favorite. Because I just enjoy music in general, to be honest with you.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. The next question I'm going to ask you, you get a choice to choose between 3. Either share with me a favorite movie that meant something to you, a favorite book, or let's keep it simple, a favorite app that you have on your phone that you use quite often. ¿Cuál de los 3 you want to respond to?
Not too much on the apps. I mean, Instagram, because I use it to just, you know, post things here and there. And then on a book, just maybe La Loca. Johnny Tapia's story. He's a boxer who witnessed his mother's murder, and before one of his championship fights, he got the call, which wasn't supposed to go to him, and they had found the murderer of his mom, so he went to kill him. And he got a hotel room right where this guy would always take the bus. Like he knew he was gonna kill this dude, and the guy got hit by the bus, bro, before he can come kill him. But he was gonna kill him. The only reason I know this story and I bought the book, I know the guy that's a boxer, amazing boxer, one of my favorite boxers of all time from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Johnny Tapia. He was on Jim Rome, and he was interviewing him, and he said that he goes, "You were gonna kill him." He goes, "As sure as I'm chewing gum right now, I was gonna kill that man," and the bus hit him, and it was crazy. And Johnny always had a drug problem. Heroin and shit. But he would always do it when he wasn't fighting. And when he fought, he would always be clean. He ended up passing away not too long ago. But yeah, that book. And yeah.
That sounds like a very intense book, and
Yeah.
hopefully for the listeners to get an opportunity to find that. I'm sure they can probably find it on Amazon amongst other websites.
Yeah. And they were gonna come out with the movie. I don't know what happened to it, but just really quick, my favorite movie of all time is Rambo: First Blood, the original one. I think it's an action-packed movie that everything was real, like everything could happen.
Yeah.
And Sylvester Stallone didn't have too many lines, but he had just enough lines in the movie. You know, I thought it was pretty dope. I don't know.
Yeah. They did an incredible job with that
that's a good
movie.
job. That's one of my favorite.
So the last pregunta, Steve, is and we were kind of hitting on this topic quite a bit during our conversation, which again I really appreciate you being here and being my first guest. The last one has to do a lot with what I do for a living in the insurance industry. One of the questions that I commonly ask a lot of my clients is, when we're doing legacy planning, legacy is not only financially. What do you want to leave behind to your estate? It's also what ideas, what mentorship, what else do you want to leave behind for people to remember you by? So my question to you is, when all is said and done, and Super Steve, and I know it's a little dark, but when Super Steve is no longer here, how would you like for people to remember you as? What kind of guy?
Fuck, I don't know, bro. I don't think about that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I don't live in the past and I don't live in the future. I live in the now. You know what I'm saying? I won't be here to decide how people think about me. I just hope that when you've encountered me, it's been a great time. It's been amazing. Maybe I've touched you. Maybe I haven't. Maybe we had a good laugh. Maybe you learned something or not. I won't be the judge of that. I just know that I'm living my life to the fullest right now. I'm doing what I want to do. I always tell people, do what you want to do. I didn't do what my dad wanted me to do. I didn't do what my mom wanted. I didn't care what anyone thought. That's the reality of my life. I didn't care. I listened to their opinions and what they wanted, but I ultimately did what I did, because when you die, it's you.
Yeah.
And you're going to think about, what did I do in my life? They got to do what they wanted to in their lives. Now I'm doing what I want to do. So like I said, I don't think about what that would even be, that's not even, I've never thought about that. Like, hey, what are people going to think about me? What do they think about me right now?
Yeah.
What do they think about me right now? What are you going to say about me when I leave? That's more important. Because once I'm gone, who cares? You can say I'm the greatest guy in the world and that I did this and that. It don't mean shit. That's why when they say about giving people their flowers now, we should do that more. Because this is when they need it. This is when they should hear it. This is when you should tell the people that you love, you admire, how you truly feel. Not when they're dead on a sermon, when they can't hear it. Tell them now. They would appreciate it much more now than when they're gone. Believe that. And people need to hear it.
Absolutely.
People need to hear that. So again, if you want to tell me something now, whoever out there watching this stuff, tell me, and I'll make sure to tell you.
Well said, my friend. Steve, thank you so much for being the first guest on the My Grito podcast. I really appreciate it, carnal.
Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier on the podcast, one of the things that I want to do is I do want to share with you some financial advice. Now, Steve and I have talked about loss in our family and how that it has impacted us. The emotional scar that it leaves behind is one thing, but financially, there's something that we can do if we really want to make sure that our loved ones are still left in a good financial position. Worst case scenario, in a good financial position. And one of the ways to do that, it is life insurance. Now, your employer might be offering life insurance, and if they do, I highly, highly recommend that you take them up on it and that you take a look at that plan because you're looking at pennies on the dollar. It's part of a group life insurance plan. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and take advantage of that. But not only that, the moment that you leave that employer, that life insurance policy is no longer going to be following you. That's why it's important for you to have your own life insurance. There was a story that somebody in the industry has been sharing with a lot of folks to help them understand how important life insurance is. What this individual would say, what he would talk to us about, is when he was a small kid and he was an immigrant, um, his parents came to the U.S. to provide a better life, to provide more opportunity. And that's something that the father, who was the only working parent, mother was stay-at-home mom, and that in itself, it's its own work. But this individual, he understood at first the importance of life insurance, and he would have a life insurance plan. But he was also very hungry for success. He wanted to do something. He wanted to leave something behind for his family. And when business opportunities came up, he didn't make that much money. So he needed to make sacrifices in order to go ahead and invest in this new opportunity. And one of the things that he did was he actually canceled his life insurance policy. He canceled his life insurance policy shortly before he actually passed away. And when he passed away, there was no more business. There was no lessons that he really left behind to him and his sisters, because this was an individual that spent more time trying to build a career so he can leave something behind for his family, for his kids, for his wife, but he wasn't investing in raising them. What he would say is that with all the hard work that his father did during his lifetime, the only thing that he left his mom, his sisters, and himself, the only thing he left them alone. So think about that, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about life insurance. There's some great plans out there, and I can help you out with that. Again, muchas gracias, Steve. Thank you for being on the show. And again, this is Oscar. I have Gil here right next to me with Mind Buzz Media, and this is My Grito. Gracias.